Now, for some reason, Nintendo loves to come up with ideas that they only end up using one time, and maybe twice depending on how popular it is. So a lot of the times I can't do an evolution of video on certain subjects, because we don't see it enough. And the dinosaur scene in the series is one of those. However, they are actually seen a lot in the games, and are both friend and foe, filling in some weird roles at times. So let's find out how they evolved in terms of use, design, story, and gameplay. Now, as some of you might have expected, all of this started with Super Mario World, where we go to a remote island known as Dinosaur Land, which didn't take inspiration from the Jurassic Park movie since that came out 3 years later. But maybe they took inspiration from Nintendo. But aside from that, we still see a bunch of interesting animals on this island, most of them being enemies of Mario. However, we also see the Yoshis who want to help out our Italian plumbers in saving the princess and stopping Bowser from taking over the island, giving Mario a mount for the first time in history. And Nintendo actually always wanted to do this, but never could in the first game due to technical limitations. But now with the SNES, they could finally put him in the game. And believe me, they put a lot of time and effort into him. However, if you want to know more about that, then be sure to watch the separate evolution of video I did on the Yoshis. It's in the upper right corner, so watch it after this video is done. Now, while our green little friend appears quite frequently on Dinosaur Land, especially on Yoshi's Island, there are more species. These dinosaur types are creatures like the Blarg, Dino Rhino, Dino Torch, Erie, Rex, Reznor, and more, all of which are seen across the island in huge numbers. Although we still see beings like the Koopa Troopas, Piranha Plants, and other staple Mario enemies a lot. Probably just as much as the dinosaurs, if not more. Now on the island, these dinosaurs fill in two types of roles, either being an enemy of sorts or a boss. For example, the Reznors are encountered in groups and need to be defeated before the time runs out and the floor below you completely falls away, which is going to be a problem as you can imagine. Now the main struggle during this fight is the constant pressure of beating them fast, as well as dodging any attacks they throw at you. It's kind of a race against the clock. And then, when it comes to enemies like the Blarg and Rex, they try to stop Mario on land and in the lava by jumping or charging, so they all have their own little role in the world. In a way, it's almost like Nintendo made a dinosaur version of a lot of the normal Mario enemies. But I have to mention that a couple do something completely new, like the Reznors and Dino Torches. So while a lot of enemies are just some sort of copies, there are things to get excited about. However, after this game's big focus on dinosaurs, Nintendo saw that one of them became quite popular, Yoshi. And so they decided to make a game based around this little guy called Yoshi's Island, where you travel across the lands to save baby Mario's brother Luigi and get them both home to their parents. So they got their own little spotlight, and it was quite a popular game in the end, becoming a series on its own even. For years they released new Yoshi's Island games for consoles like the DS and 3DS, and so dinosaurs were seen for many years to come, making these little creatures extremely famous since they were seen in a ton of other Super Mario games, as well as this new type of Mario game. But then things started to change. Sure, this new series with Yoshi as the star was seen a lot, with games coming out every couple of years. But dinosaurs in general were seen a lot less. In a lot of games like Super Mario 64, for example, we only see some small things like Dory having a minor role in one of the levels, which was also the case later on in New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, mostly acting as some sort of living platform that you need to use in order to reach specific areas or cross dangerous waters. And without her, you would basically be doomed. But if you actually dig through the files of the games, you come across some interesting things. Because the Blargs were originally going to appear in Super Mario 64 as enemies in Lethal Lava Land, Bowser in the Fire Sea, and even Wing Mario over the rainbow, as they can be found in the game's coding. Heck, you can even program them back in, although they aren't finished. So apparently Nintendo didn't do anything with that in the end, which is a bit of a bummer to be honest. And so that's all we saw in the Super Mario series for quite a long time, while spin-off titles like Super Princess Peach and the Mario and Luigi games showed off some older enemies from Super Mario World. And that's exactly what I was talking about. Nintendo loves to come up with a fun theme, then use it one time and drop it right after, which was clearly the case here as well. Luckily enough though, these dinosaurs were still seen here and there, with Yoshi becoming part of the main cast as well, appearing appearing in titles like Super Mario 64, Mario Party games, and Mario Kart. Now, the next time we would see something big and new when it comes to our prehistoric friends is in the Super Mario Galaxy games. Because in both these titles, we see a new boss, the Dyna Piranha, who's gigantic and really cool actually. It resides in the Good Egg Galaxy and is found inside an egg when Mario first encounters it, cracking it and exposing its tail, and after hitting the ball at the end of it, the beast will be released. Now all you do in this fight is run away from it and try to hit its tail, which then shoots away and comes back hitting the Dino Rhino, a bit like a rubber band would. And as the battle goes on, the beast will only get more and more angry, putting extra effort into running after you. Now the fight in general is quite simplistic, but a lot of fun. The snap and hit of the tail is very satisfying. So in the end, it's a bit of a run and gun type fight. Run away when he gets angry and chases you, but when you get the chance, go on the offensive. This fight was even seen in the second Galaxy game, so clearly it was popular and Nintendo liked it enough as well. Although I gotta say that it's a bit sad that we're basically beating up a baby, but hey, Mario is a monster, what do you do about it? Now, while this is a great boss fight and it's good to see a new dinosaur in the series, they weren't really used in a new way, sadly enough. So, will we see anything new in the future games? Well, not really. There's only one thing we would see in a lot of the games that came after: older enemies. An insane amount of dinosaurs from Super Mario World made their return in games like New Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario 3D World. Here, foes like the Blars and Resnors made a return, but overall their behavior is similar and all they got was a new design. So Nintendo wasn't really messing around with that theme a whole lot. Dinosaurs weren't part of their enemy design plan anymore. Although I will say one new thing was added. Sure, the dinosaur looked a bit like Dory, but his role is very different. I'm talking about Plessy, of course, and his main role is being your ride in fun minigame-like sections where you travel through water-filled regions. You can jump on his back, being able to speed up, slow down, and jump, which can also be used to defeat enemies and reach higher ground. These courses are overall short and sweet, being a bit of a Mario Party minigame, which is overall quite light-hearted. Personally, I love it. The whole thing offers something completely new in this game, as well as the entire series. And it's also nice to get a break from platforming every once in a while. But they only ended up using it in this game, sadly enough. So what was next for them? Well, actually something quite exciting, because the Super Mario game that came after this one was really weird, but in a good way. Because they introduced a prehistoric looking world in the game where we see a lot of fossils and one dinosaur, a freaking T-Rex, also known as the prehistoric tyrant. And guess what? The enemies in Super Mario Odyssey can be controlled by Cappy, allowing you to play as them. The first two can be found in the Cascade Kingdom, both of which are napping and will not attack Mario or damage him. But there's also a fedora-wearing T-Rex prowling a path around a large tree in the deep woods of the Wooded Kingdom, and this one is aggressive. It can either be stunned by tricking it into ramming its head into a rock or wall, or by throwing a seed at its head to knock it out, after which you can capture it. Now these beasts are used in the levels in quite interesting ways, by either letting the player have fun and destroy things, or battle it out with this beast. In an interview with Game Informer, Shigeru Miyamoto likened Mario's ability to capture and control a T-Rex in Super Mario Odyssey to riding Yoshi, and the concept in general took inspiration from Super Mario World. But to be honest, they took it much further, and that's a good thing, because this enemy is so much more than just that, and its role in New Donk City shows this off perfectly. Here there's a chase sequence where Mario uses a scooter while a T-Rex goes after him. Yet again, this has a bit of a minigame vibe, but it does show off that Nintendo did a lot of different things with this enemy. But that's sadly enough where it ends.
But Wily, what about the Glidon? You totally skipped that part!
Oh snap, you're right. I totally forgot about him. This is a little creature that can be found in many worlds and kind of acts like a Yoshi. However, instead of allowing you to ride it across the ground, you can use it to fly through the air, gliding from roof to roof or place to place. And as you can imagine, this is yet again used in a lot of minigames and to reach certain areas that you otherwise couldn't get to. But now it does really end. Nintendo didn't do a whole lot else with them after this. Super Mario Maker 2 didn't really focus on them after all. But we might get a Super Mario Odyssey 2 since we never got DLC for the first game after all. So maybe we will see them in that game. And also, don't forget about the evolution of Yoshi video in the upper right corner, because now is the perfect time to watch it.